Imagine walking into a room and knowing within seconds who is lying, who is hiding something, and who is plotting their next move. What if you could peel back the mask people wear every day and see their true thoughts without them saying a word? Most people believe that reading someone instantly is impossible, but history tells us otherwise. The most cunning minds, from emperors to modern manipulators, have mastered psychological tactics to expose the truth hidden in others. And tonight, you're going to learn them too. Machiavelli, the man feared and admired across centuries, understood one thing better than anyone. People rarely show who they really are. They disguise, they flatter, they deceive, but under pressure, their real selves leak out. He believed that to gain power, to protect yourself, and to control outcomes, you must first master the art of reading others before they read you. That is what sets the powerful apart from the powerless. In this video, we're diving deep into Machiavelli's 7 psychological tactics that allow you to instantly read anyone. Not surface-level tricks, not fortune-teller nonsense, but the very principles used by master strategists, spies, and manipulators throughout history. These tactics will give you a lens through which the human mind becomes transparent. By the end, you won't look at people the same way again. But let me warn you, these are not magic spells. You won't become a human lie detector overnight. Machiavelli himself would say, power is built on practice, patience, and cold observation. These tactics are subtle, but once you learn to spot them, you'll start noticing details in people that others completely miss. That's your edge. That's your weapon. Now let's set the foundation. What do we mean by Machiavellian psychology? Psychologists today describe Machiavellianism as a personality trait marked by cunning, manipulation, and strategic thinking. It belongs to the so-called dark triad of traits alongside narcissism and psychopathy. But unlike the reckless boldness of the narcissist or the impulsive cruelty of the psychopath, the Machiavellian is controlled, patient, and precise. They don't just react, they plan. And to plan effectively, they must read people better than those people read themselves. This is why Machiavellians often rise in positions of power. Whether in politics, business, or even personal relationships, they exploit their ability to decode others. They watch tone, gestures, motives, nuances. They know that words are cheap, but human nature never lies. That's why these tactics are powerful, because they expose truth in a world built on illusions. But here's something most people never realize. Machiavelli wasn't inventing cruelty for cruelty's sake. His strategies were born in Renaissance Italy, a world full of betrayal, plots, and sudden downfall. Alliances shifted overnight. Enemies disguised themselves as friends, and rulers who trusted too easily ended up poisoned or overthrown. To survive, you had to master people, not swords. To Machiavelli, being able to read a man's heart was worth more than an army. This is why his teachings still echo in boardrooms, parliaments, and even in everyday conversations. Think about it. How many times have you misjudged someone, trusted someone who later stabbed you in the back, or maybe dismissed someone quiet, only to see them outsmart you? Machiavelli would say, that's because you weren't paying attention. The signs were there, but you ignored them. These 7 tactics will sharpen your eyes so that you never miss them again. As you listen, don't just treat this as theory. Apply it. The next time you meet someone new, watch their baseline behavior. Notice the cracks in their mask. Pay attention to how they treat people who cannot benefit them. Observe how their voice betrays their feelings. And when you do, you'll start uncovering truths about people that they desperately want to hide. That's the Machiavellian advantage. And here's the real promise. By the end of this video, you will hold the same mental toolkit that gave ruthless leaders their survival edge. You will understand how to pierce through charm, how to seize lies, and how to read motives hidden beneath words. Whether you use it to protect yourself, to strengthen your influence, or simply to understand the human mind, this knowledge will give you clarity in a chaotic world. So why should you watch until the end? Because every tactic builds upon the last. If you stop halfway, you'll have pieces of the puzzle, but not the whole picture. And in the game of off, missing one piece can cost you everything. The full set of Machiavelli's psychological tactics will transform the way you see people forever. Welcome to Psych Algorithm. If you're ready to unlock the hidden code of human behavior and dive deeper into the minds of history's most cunning thinkers, then hit that subscribe button right now. This journey is only beginning. Before we talk about the secrets of spotting lies, manipulation, or hidden motives, we need to start with something simple yet often overlooked: the baseline. Think of it as the foundation of every person's behavior. Without understanding someone's baseline, you can't truly know when they are hiding something, because you don't even know what normal looks like for them. Machiavelli would have seen this as the first step of power. To master others, you must first watch them in their natural state.
Imagine you're watching a soldier before battle. When he's relaxed, how does he stand? Does he slouch or keep his back straight? Does he joke with his comrades or sit in silence? That image is his baseline, his default. Now fast forward to the moment of confrontation. If suddenly his body stiffens or his words become shorter, you know he's under pressure. You notice the change, because you knew the baseline. Without it, you'd miss the truth hiding in plain sight. Most people make the mistake of jumping to conclusions based on a single gesture or tone of voice. They see crossed arms and assume someone is defensive. They hear a pause and assume someone is lying. But this is dangerous. Maybe that person always folds their arms because it feels comfortable. Maybe they always pause to think before speaking. That's why Machiavelli would insist on patience. Before you act, observe. Before you judge, learn the normal rhythm of the person in front of you. So how do you do this in practice? The first step is to place people in relaxed, low-stakes situations. Watch how they behave when there's nothing to gain or lose. Pay attention to their voice. Is it naturally fast, slow, deep, or light? Notice their gestures. Do they use their hands a lot or keep them still? Look at posture. Do they lean in close when talking or stay back? Even the way someone blinks or shifts their eyes has a pattern. That pattern is their baseline. Now here's the key. Once you know this baseline, any deviation becomes a signal. If a normally calm speaker suddenly starts talking fast, something triggered them. If someone who always meets your eyes suddenly avoids them, something is different. These changes are not random. They are the cracks where truth leaks out. The Machiavellian eye sees those cracks instantly, because it already knows the original shape of the mask. Let's take an example. Imagine a business negotiation. You've spent some time with the other side over dinner before the meeting. You notice the leader always speaks in a steady, calm tone. He leans back, bang his chair, casual, confident. That's his baseline. Now in the meeting, when the stakes are high, you ask about a specific clause in the contract. Suddenly, his voice tightens. He leans forward. His hands grip the table. You just spotted the deviation. Something about that clause is sensitive, and now you know where his weak spot lies. This principle applies everywhere. A friend, a colleague, even a stranger. People reveal themselves when you measure them against their own normal, not against some universal standard. One man's nervous habit might be another man's comfort zone. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. Don't judge people by what others do. Judge them by how they betray themselves. And here's where the power deepens. Once you start noticing baselines, you can also control your own. If you know how you normally act, you can mask your deviations, keeping others from reading you. This is what great manipulators do. They maintain control so no one sees the cracks.
But if you remain unaware of your baseline, you leak information without realizing it. Every raised brow, every shift in tone, gives your opponent ammunition. To protect yourself, you must study yourself, just as you study others. It may sound slow, but practice sharpens this skill. The more you watch people in everyday moments, the faster you'll build mental records of their baselines. Soon it becomes automatic. You'll catch Karch thinking, "He never speaks this fast," or "She doesn't usually stand this stiff." That's when you start reading people instantly. Not because you're guessing, but because you're comparing. Machiavelli would remind us that life is a battlefield of perception. You win not by brute force, but by understanding what others reveal when they don't intend to. Baselines are the invisible maps of behavior. They guide you to the places where truth hides. If you learn to see them, you hold the first weapon in the art of reading anyone. Before we dive into the more complex layers of human psychology, let us talk about something fleeting, something that passes in less than a second, but carries the weight of truth: the micro-expression. These tiny flashes of emotion on the face are almost impossible to hide. They reveal anger, fear, contempt, joy, or sadness, before the conscious mind has time to cover them up with a smile or a neutral mask. Machiavelli would have loved micro-expressions, because they are the leaks in the armor, the slips that betray even the most guarded individual. Think of it like this: a man swears he is calm, but for a fraction of a second his lip curls in disgust. Or a woman insists she is happy for you, but her eyes tighten with envy before the polite smile appears. These moments are brief, sometimes as fast as 1/20th of a second. But they are real, they are involuntary, raw, and they tell you the emotion that the person does not want you to see. When you train yourself to catch them, you unlock a secret passage into someone's inner world. Where should you look? The eyes are often the first giveaway. Fear widens them. Anger narrows them. Contempt squints them. The mouth is another key signal. A twitch, a smirk, a ated jaw. All speak volumes. Even the eyebrows reveal what words conceal, raised in surprise, furrowed in anger, or lifted unevenly in disdain. They are the silent storytellers of the face. Once you learn to spot these micro-expressions, you'll never again take someone's smile at face value. You'll see the storm behind the mask. But micro-expressions are only the beginning. People leak truth, not just through their faces, but through their voices. Words can be rehearsed, memorized, crafted like a weapon. Tone, however, is much harder to control. It slips, it bends, it cracks, and this is where the second tactic comes alive. Listen not to the words themselves, but to the tone carrying them. Pay attention to pitch. A voice that suddenly rises can indicate stress or fear. Speed matters too. Someone speaking faster than usual might be nervous, trying to rush through a lie before it unravels. Long lulls, on the other hand, can signal hesitation, uncertainty, or the crafting of a story. Even volume tells a tale, speaking too loudly to assert dominance, or too softly to conceal insecurity. When Machiavelli spoke of rulers and politicians, he emphasized not just what they promised, but how they promised it. A confident tone inspires trust. Even when the words are hollow, a shaky tone breeds suspicion, even when the words are true. Imagine two leaders addressing their armies. One speaks with steady rhythm, his voice calm but firm. The men follow him without doubt. The other stumbles, his pitch unsteady, his pace uneven. The men sense weakness, even if his speech is full of bold claims. The difference lies not in the content, but in the delivery. This is why the Machiavellian observer must train the ear as much as the eye. The truth is often hiding in the cracks between words. And yet, if you want to see someone's true character, go beyond expressions and tone. Look at how they treat people who cannot give them anything in return. This is the third tactic, and perhaps one of the most revealing. Anyone can be charming to someone powerful, useful, or admired, but how do they treat the waiter serving their table, the driver opening their door, the stranger who interrupts them in the street? That is where their mask slips. The arrogant man may flatter his boss, but snap at a servant. The manipulative woman may shower a leader with kindness, but dismiss a worker as invisible. Machiavelli would say this is where the true truths of power lies. People who treat the powerless with respect reveal a certain depth of character. Those who use cruelty or contempt expose their inner hunger for dominance. And those who switch between kindness and rudeness depending on who they face, that's a dangerous game of manipulation you should never ignore. But the picture grows sharper when you start noticing inconsistencies. This is tactic 4. Watch for patterns that don't align. People can fake their words. They can train their tone. They can even fake kindness for short periods. But over time, inconsistencies pile up. And that's when you see who they really are. Think of a politician who preaches honesty but is caught in lies again and again. Or a friend who promises loyalty but disappears in your time of need. Or a colleague who claims to value teamwork but always takes the credit alone. Inconsistencies between words and actions are not accidents. They are clues. Machiavelli understood that people's promises are like costumes. They wear them when it suits them, but reality reveals itself in the cracks, in the contradiction. If you pay attention, you'll start noticing patterns of betrayal long before others do. And here's something even subtler: emotional inconsistency. Someone laughs at a joke, but their eyes don't match their smile. Someone congratulates you, but their voice lacks warmth. These small mismatches are warnings. The person is playing a role, but the performance isn't perfect. When you see these cracks again and again, you know they're hiding something bigger beneath the surface. This takes us to the 5th tactic: detecting hidden motives through context. No one acts in a vacuum. Every behavior happens in a specific situation. If you want to read people like Machiavelli, you must ask yourself, what's at stake for them? What do they stand to gain or to lose right now? Only then will their actions make sense. Imagine a court in Renaissance Italy. One nobleman suddenly showers another with praise. On the surface, it looks like genuine admiration. But step back and ask, why now? What's happening in this moment? Perhaps a new alliance is being formed, or a rival is growing in strength. Suddenly, the flattery takes on a different meaning. It's not kindness, it's strategy. The same logic applies today. When a colleague suddenly befriends you, ask, is it because they truly value you, or because you have influence over something they want? When someone hides their anger until the boss leaves the room, ask, why conceal it here and reveal it there? Context gives you the missing piece of the puzzle. Without it, you might believe the act. With it, you see the motive. Machiavelli thrived in a world where hidden motives ruled. Betrayal, ambition, survival. Every decision was shaped by context. To him, nothing people did was random. Every smile, every gesture, every word carried an agenda. To detect it, you must study not just the person, but the situation surrounding them. Is there wealth to gain, power to secure, reputation to protect, or perhaps danger to avoid? When you answer these questions, people's behavior stops being mysterious. It becomes predictable. And that is the ultimate goal: to see not only what someone is doing, but why they are doing it. To predict the next move before they make it. To understand that behind every polite smile, every shaky tone, every sudden act of kindness, there is a calculation. Machiavelli would tell you that the world belongs to those who can read these calculations faster than anyone else. So watch the micro-expressions that leak the truth. Listen to the tone that carries hidden emotion. Observe how they treat the powerless. Track the inconsistencies between words and actions. And never forget to weigh everything against context. The silent stage where motives come alive. These are not tricks. They are weapons. And once you master them, the illusions of others will dissolve before your eyes. When we speak of power, we cannot avoid the subject of charm. Charm is not just about being likable. It is a weapon, a strategy, a mask that conceals motives. Machiavelli knew this all too well. He observed that men who could not wield armies often wielded words instead. And words, when draped in sweetness, become chains stronger than steel. This is where Tactic 7 begins. Reading how someone uses social strategies and flattery. Watch closely when someone showers you with compliments. At first, it feels good. It disarms you. Your defenses lower. But ask yourself, why are they saying this now? Machiavelli would remind us that flattery is rarely free. It is an investment. It is currency. Someone who compliments you might be paying the price of your trust, hoping to cash in later. Think of the ambitious courtier, who tells the prince he is wise, brave, and beloved by the people. The prince beams. His pride inflates, and he feels secure in this man's loyalty. But beneath the praise lies a plan. The courtier wants influence, maybe even control over decisions, and the prince, drunk on compliments, doesn't see the trap until it's too late. History is littered with kings and rulers who fell not by sword, but by flattery. This is why you must read not only the compliment itself, but the timing, the delivery, and the purpose. Does the praise come when you are vulnerable? Does it appear when they need something from you? Do they compliment in public to elevate your pride, or in private to build intimacy? These are not random acts. They are maneuvers. Self-disclosure is another tactic of charm. When someone shares a personal story, a struggle, or a secret, it feels like trust. You think, if they are opening up to me, then I can trust them. But Machiavelli would warn you. Sometimes disclosure is not about honesty. It is about binding you. If someone tells you a secret, you feel honored, chosen, special, and in that feeling your guard slips. You might reveal something of your own. Now they hold your truth in their hands, while you hold nothing but their performance. Social maneuvering is a dance of positioning. Who do they stand close to? Whose jokes do they laugh at? Who do they ignore when no one else is watching? The Machiavellian eye eyes that these movements are not random. They are deliberate signals of allegiance, dominance, or dismissal. The skilled manipulator builds alliances by siding with the powerful and flattering the influential, while quietly isolating the weak. Watch these patterns, and you will see the invisible map of their ambition. But let us not stop there. If you want an edge beyond what most people notice, you must look for something colder. Signs of emotional detachment and cynicism. This is the bonus tactic. Some people are masters of control, and their greatest weapon is the absence of visible emotion. They seem cool, distant, unaffected by the storms that shake others. At first, this might seem like calmness, even strength, but often it signals something deeper. A mind that calculates without the interference of empathy. The overly cynical person sees the world not as good or bad, but as a chessboard. Everyone is a piece to be moved, traded, or sacrificed. Their lack of empathy allows them to act where others would hesitate. A cruel decision does not weigh heavily on them because they do not feel what others feel. Very well mind and psychology today have long observed that such detachment is common in highly strategic personalities. These individuals are not ruled by emotion. They rule over emotion. How do you spot this? Pay attention to their reactions in moments of emotion. A tragedy is announced. Do they show genuine sorrow, or do they nod coldly and change the subject? A joke is told. Do they laugh naturally, or do they give a hollow smile as if imitating what they think is expected? A child cries. A friend celebrates. A colleague panics. Do they join in, or do they remain unmoved, as though watching actors on a stage? These are signals. They reveal that the person is detached from the common emotional current that binds most of us. Why does this matter? Because such detachment gives them an advantage. They think while others feel. They calculate while others react. They move pieces on the board, while others are paralyzed by guilt or empathy. Machiavelli would admire this trait. But he would also warn, such people can be dangerous if you are not alert. They will not hesitate to exploit your emotions, because they do not share them. So how do you use these tactics when you meet someone new? The key is to move step by step. First, observe. Do not rush to label someone after a single interaction. People are complex. Watch them in different situations. See how they act under pressure, when relaxed, with friends, with strangers. Collect these observations like pieces of a puzzle. Second, test small cues. Ask a casual question and watch the micro-expression that flashes across their face. Share a harmless story and see if they try to mirror it with one of their own. Offer a light compliment and notice if they return it instantly, as if trained, or if they seem genuinely appreciative. Each small test adds to your understanding. Third, never judge immediately. The greatest error is to think you have read someone perfectly in a moment. Even Machiavelli would warn against overconfidence. The truth of a person reveals itself over time. Layers, by combining signals, baseline, micro-expressions, tone, treatment of others, consistency, context, charm, detachment. You build a clearer picture. One signal alone can deceive you. Many signals together rarely lie. But even with these weapons, there are pitfalls. You will make mistakes. False positives happen. You may misread a nervous habit as deceit, or mistake cultural differences for dishonesty. This is the danger of foe. The more you trust your skill, the more blind you become to your errors. That is why humility is necessary. A ruler who misreads allies as enemies, or enemies as allies, destroys himself faster than any assassin. And then there is the greatest danger of all, misuse. These tactics are sharp blades. In the hands of the wise, they protect against betrayal, manipulation, and exploitation. But in the hands of the reckless, they turn into tools of cruelty. If you use them only to dominate, to trick, to exploit, then you become the very monster you claim to defend against. Machiavelli was often accused of promoting evil, but at the core of his writings lies a warning. Understand people so you may survive, not so you may needlessly destroy. Think of this knowledge as fire. Fire can warm, protect, and light the darkness. But fire can also burn, consume, and leave only ashes. The choice rests with you. Will you use these insights to protect yourself from the flattery of manipulators, the coldness of the cynical, and the traps of the ambitious? Or will you twist them into weapons against the innocent? That is the test of character. So when you meet someone new, watch how they use charm and flattery. Listen to how they disclose secrets, and why. Map their social maneuvers, their alliances, their patterns of praise. Then, look deeper. Notice the ones who seem too detached, too cynical, too cold. Ask yourself not only what they are doing, but why. Step by step, piece by piece, the truth will unfold. And when it does, you will see the hidden motives, the strategies, the calculations that others miss. This is not magic. It is observation sharpened into power. And once you learn to wield it, the masks around you will never look the same again. We have walked together through Machiavelli's lens, step by step, uncovering the hidden signals people reveal without even knowing it. You now hold in your mind 7 powerful tactics, plus 1 bonus insight, each one a piece of the puzzle that lets you read anyone with greater clarity. First, you learn to spot someone's baseline behavior, their natural rhythm when relaxed. so that every deviation becomes a signal. Then you sharpened your eyes to catch micro-expression leaks, those fleeting flashes of emotion that break through even the strongest masks. After that, you tuned your ear to the sound beneath the words, listening to tone, pitch, pauses, and rhythm, the music that often tells more truth than the lyrics. From there, you looked at how people treat others. They don't need. Do they show kindness to those without power? Or do they reveal cruelty the moment they believe no one important is watching? That small detail then exposes a person's real character more than hours of conversation. You then explored the power of inconsistency. When stories, behaviors, or emotions do not align over time, contradictions become the cracks where truth hides. Next, you learned to analyze context, asking what someone stands to gain or lose in any situation, because motives make behavior predictable. And finally, you examined how people use social strategies and flattery, how charm, compliments, and personal disclosures can be weapons to disarm you and win your trust. Alongside these 7, you received a bonus tactic. Watch for emotional detachment and cynicism. Those who appear cool, detached, and unaffected often think strategically, free from the restraints of empathy. They can be the most dangerous players in any game of power. When you put all of these together, you hold something far greater than a list of tricks. You hold a framework for seeing people as they are, not as they pretend to be. But remember, none of this works without practice. You will not suddenly see through everyone the first time you try. Machiavelli himself would remind you that power is gained through patience, persistence, and sharp observation. Over time, your eyes will catch what others miss. You will notice the shift in tone, the twitch of a smile, the pause too long, the kindness that vanishes when no one is watching. And in those small cracks, you will see the truth emerge. But here lies the most important lesson. Use this knowledge wisely. These tactics are not toys, not tricks for amusement. They are tools of power. And with power comes responsibility. You can use them to manipulate, deceive, and control. But if you do, you will only become another mask wearer in a world already drowning in deceit. Or, you can use them with empathy, to protect yourself from being misled, to understand people more deeply, and to build relationships that rest on clarity rather than illusion. The choice is yours, and it will define whether this knowledge makes you stronger or corrupts you. So here is your challenge. Today, try observing someone, not to judge them instantly, but to notice. Watch their baseline, their tone, their small expressions. Pay attention to how they treat others, and whether their actions match their words. Don't rely on a single cue. Combine them, connect them, and see what picture emerges. Then reflect on what you discovered. You might be surprised how much people reveal without ever meaning to. If this journey through Machiavelli's psychological tactics opened your eyes, then stay with us. There is more to uncover, more truths to explore, more power to master. Like this video, if you found value in it, and subscribe to our channel, Psych Algorithm, so you never miss the next lesson. Share your thoughts in the comments. Tell us what you noticed when you tried these tactics today. Because the art of reading people is not learned alone. It grows when we practice, when we test, and when we share our insights. The masks around you are many, but with these tactics, you no longer have to take them at face value. You can look deeper, you can see what others miss. And that is the beginning of true power.